Art Bouvier, the owner of a New Orleans-inspired restaurant located in Indianapolis, saw a young man trudging through the early morning snow and ice last week. The teen stopped to ask Bouvier, who owns Papa Roo Po' Boys and Cajun food, how much further it might be to his final destination. And he was told 6 or 7 miles. He thanked me and continued on. Bouvier, who also goes by Papa, wrote of the encounter in his now viral Facebook post. He said he could have asked me for money for a bus, but he didn't. In fact, I expected him to, but he didn't. He just said, "Thank you very much, sir," and started walking again. He added that the teen later said he didn't have the money to ride the bus, and he wouldn't until he got a job. Bouvier continued in his post that 15 minutes later, when he was still in the car, he told his wife to pull over when he spotted the teen still walking. That's when he found out that the 18-year-old kid had intended to walk 10 full miles for a job interview.
And that's just one way, right?
That's one way.
Yeah.
He walked 10 miles, started 2 hours early prior to the job interview. And Bouvier says that's when he knew the kid had work ethic, because he was so concerned about being there on time. And he was supposed to be there 10 o'clock in the morning. He started walking at 8 because he didn't want to miss anything. I kept thinking to myself, here's a kid walking almost 10 miles in the ice and slush and the snow for a job of minimum wage, a job that Americans just won't do. He said that's the kind of story your parents used to tell. My parents used to tell, but it was always uphill both ways in the snow. Bouvier took the kid's phone number, advising him to keep the interview, but noted he would see if he could hire him at his restaurant. The Blaze interviewed Bouvier, who went on to say he told Reagan whatever the shop offered him, he would double it. Bouvier then told us that Reagan later learned that he did well in the interview with the other establishment, but the position had already been filled. So he walked 10 miles.
Jeez. Can you call him in advance a little bit? I mean,
and here's an amazing thing. He walks 10 miles. He does the interview. He's already got a guy who says, I'll double whatever they offer you. And he calls and says the position was already filled. It was minimum wage. He could have said, they offered me $20 an hour. But he didn't. He said they didn't offer me a job. They didn't have a job. Bouvier says, it's been a while since I met somebody so young with a work ethic like that. When he saw Reagan walking 2 hours ahead for his interview, he to ensure that he would be on time, Bouvier told the Blaze that he knew it was a sign of work ethic. I tell every single applicant, I can show you the ropes, but I can't teach you ethic and work ethic. Show up, be on time, don't be disappointed, and don't disappoint your crew. He said, people call all the time at 9:55 to say they won't make it for 10 o'clock. You know before 9:55 that you're not going to make the shift. Don't ever make somebody else take that 9:55 phone call. Reagan's reaction to the news that he got the job, I'm just lucky I met him. I'm really lucky I met him. The reason why he was walking 10 miles, think of this kid. I love this kid. I just love this kid. He said it's been hard finding opportunities because he was forced to quit school 2 years ago when his mother died. He completed his GED while staying at home to care for his siblings. Now that he has a job and a following on Facebook, he says, I don't even know it's crazy. It's really crazy. My heart's just racing right now. I'm too excited. I'm so excited to start. Can we get this kid on the phone tomorrow, please? Call the Blaze and see if we can get him on the phone. I'd love to talk to him. Love to hire him, actually. We have from time to time, we hire interns here many times. And they come in, and I think our policy, at least in Dallas, I don't know what it is in New York, but I think our policy here is in Dallas that you can work one semester for free. But that's how we separate the riffraff. Because a lot of people come in and they're like, I'm going to be a star. And 3 days into it, how come I'm not on television? You're fired.
Well, that's how it was in my entire life of radio. I remember one of the things when I first started interning for Glenn back in like 1917. That was the thing. Every intern,
Wilson years.
Yeah, I know the Wilson years. Every single person who would want to come in and intern seemed to be so focused on either getting concert tickets or being on the air the next week. None of them wanted to go do all the crappy work that you usually had to be doing.
We never took internships for a long time. We never took internships, and it's because we had a very bad run with interns. Because remember, we were taking these college students, and they all felt so entitled that they wouldn't do things. They'd be like, "Yeah, I can't." It was the 9:55 thing. Jeez. I can't make it today, and then they would show up the next day without saying anything about how they left us in the lurch. And they'd be like, really? I gotta stuff these envelopes?
That's not part of my job. I'm not learning anything here.
Yeah, what am I learning?
To sound like my dad for a second, remember what it was like when we got into radio? I would have done anything at the radio station. Anything. Anytime there was production to do, you wanted me to do a commercial, you wanted me to record a commercial that somebody else already did, I'll just dub it off, that's fine. I would do mountains of stuff that they just pawn off on me. That's it's rare. You almost never see that anymore.
Well, we're lucky enough. We're lucky enough, like all of our floor crew and all of the crew here in Dallas and up in New York. Mm-hmm. I've never heard that from anybody. These guys, they work their butts off every single day. We have the editing department up in New York, and our editing department here is good too. And I don't mean to compare, and I'm not trying to start a war or anything, but I just happened to get a note from somebody up in New York. In fact, it was Joel. Now, Joel has worked at some of the, he's network. He's worked with some of the best editors around. He said, Glenn, I just want you to know. He said, you challenged the editors up in New York when last time I was up in New York, and I challenged them. And I said, I want you to think out of the box. I want you to push. I don't want you to take no for an answer. I want you to dream, and whatever you do, do not get into that television box. Don't, because everybody good dies in that little, okay, now I'm just going to make the donuts. I said, don't do it. And I challenged them. And Joel just said, Glenn, I want you to know, I think this a quote. I believe, let me read it. This is the most talented team that I have had the privilege of working with. They are some of the world's best. That's amazing. And they're all 20-somethings. And the difference is they work. Look at this. When you challenge people at the town hall meeting to create and innovate, these four really took it to heart. A lack of equipment is no barrier to them. They spend hours on their own time coming up with new ways to be creative and execute at a level, given their relative lack of experience, that is nothing short of amazing. The best part is they're all in their 20s or very early 30s, and their best years are still ahead of them. They're not jaded, and they don't recognize limitations.
They will be. Oh, they will be.
Yes. How great is that?
It's awesome.